Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wright Perspective. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on any and every platform you use to engage with us. Today, we are going to recap and discuss House Party, a 1990 comedy written and directed by Reginald Hudlin and produced by his brother, Warrington Hudlin. It stars Christopher Kid Reid and Christopher Play Martin, aka Kid and Play. Other cast members include Robin Harris, Martin Lawrence, Tisha Campbell, AJ Johnson, Daryl Chill Mitchell, John Witherspoon, members of the singing group Full Force, and a cameo by funk musician George Clinton. The film grossed over $26 million on a budget of $2.5 million, and it was only released to 700 theaters. And I was like, is 700 theaters a lot or not a lot? So I looked up Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which was released just a few years prior and was another kind of like teen life movie, but it was a white teen life movie. And that film was released to 1,330 theaters. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can understand House Party grossing $26 million after being released to only 700 theaters says a lot about the reception of the movie at the time. And the movie, though, it didn't rack up. A lot
of big names too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the movie at the time, it didn't rack up a bunch of awards, but it is held as a cult classic because it is the first movie to center Black people in a telling of a story about the universal experience of being a teenager. And in fact, in 2022, it was selected for preservation at the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, deeming it culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
Wow.
For some,
that's interesting.
Is that interesting?
Yeah.
That makes me sad.
Well, we already know her vote.
Don't preserve that for my culture. Wait a minute.
Oh,
okay.
No. Okay. So for some, maybe not Brittany, but for some, this cultural impact would be enough to make this movie a classic. But today, we will determine whether it is a classic from other Wright perspective. We'll do a recap, we'll discuss the movie, and then we'll take a vote using a voting symbol that we're going to pick especially for this discussion. But we got to start with intros. Kick us off, bro.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Wright. I'm the oldest.
I'm Genia Wright. I'm the middle.
Hi, I'm Brittany Wright, and I'm the youngest.
and y'all, we have to just own like the reason this movie was not actually on our content planner for this season, even though we wanted to get to it at some point, But a new House Party movie was released this year, and I didn't even know. Brittany brought it to our attention. I was like, okay, they making another one, and so we need to. And so that led us into a discussion of like, we should go back and watch the original, Yeah. And Britt, did you end up seeing the new one that just came out?
I have not. I went and saw something completely different than House Party yesterday.
Well, this the one that came out this year is essentially the sixth one. Okay, because there was the original. And then there were two more sequels that actually had Kid and Play in them. So it was House Party 2 and 3. And then there were two that went straight to DVD. Okay. Kid and Play, they weren't even in the fourth one. And in the fifth one, they came back in cameos only. Okay. So now this new one right now is actually the sixth one.
Yeah. And I think that they have a cameo in that as well. Okay. I remember seeing a preview with that. I just know that I told my homegirl we were recording this and she was like, make sure you guys talk about Angina. And I was like, there was no character in this movie named Angina. And she was like, oh, it must be in 2 or 3. And I was like,
maybe so.
It's not in it.
It's not ringing a bell.
I don't know what she's
sorry. We're not talking about Angina in this one.
And when we were trying to decide whether to do just the first one or all of them, bro, you were like the main proponent of like, let's just do the first one. Like, what was your thinking about that?
Well, the thing about House Party is that whether or not, we're going to get into a discussion about how we felt about the movie.
Yeah.
But the movie had an impact, period. Like that, And so, but the rest of them were kind of riding off of the momentum of the first.
Sure.
That has lasted till 2023. So whereas they're a result, I feel like the sequels in this case are more a result of the original movie than like their own things adding towards the movie. It was just like this shock wave that just, so I don't feel like if we're talking, people don't talk about like 2 and 3 and 4 as classics. Like you might just watch them because it's Kid and Play. But if you're talking about House Party, you're talking about House Party. So
yeah, and bro, in preparation for the episode, I did like do some Googling, about like House Party in the movie and its legacy, whatever. And people weren't mentioned in those sequels. They weren't mentioned in them. They were really talking about the first movie.
Yeah.
That is the one that was groundbreaking because, apparently like in the 80s, and I have a recollection of this, but in the 80s, there were so many white teen films. Like John Hughes apparently was churning them out. Okay. And they were showing just white teen life. Yes. Pretty in Pink and all of those.
Sweet 16.
Yeah.
There's a million of them. Yeah.
Right. And wasn't there one Risky Business? I don't know if that was a John Hughes one.
I don't know if that was a teenager one. I think.
Okay, I thought that was also about like a kid planning a party.
I can't remember.
His parents, I'm not sure either. But the point is, there were so many in the 80s, and there was just literally, apparently, just a void of Black teen life, and all when Hollywood was leaning into teen life as a focal area. And so that is so when House Party came out, and it was just slice of life movie about teens, and it was centering Black teens. That was actually a huge game changer. So that it's iconic in that way.
Yeah.
And so moving into our discussion, we have to pick a voting symbol. If you're new to our podcast, we pick a voting symbol for the movie, for the content that we're talking about, and then we vote. And we decide at the end of our discussion whether the movie will become a classic, voting with the voting symbol we choose. And y'all, I forgot to come up with a voting symbol for the movie.
That's all right. You don't need it.
I got so caught up into watching the making of videos and stuff. I literally just forgot.
It's got to be the high top fade. It has to be the high top fade.
It's the second time that she's done this.
It's just
listen,
out there. She's slipping.
Listen.
Slipping.
In this case,
trying to come into my
y'all are not listening.
Oh, sorry. Well,
y'all are not.
We heard
listening.
High top fade.
It's just high top
Brittany
fade.
was very focused on doing her favorite thing, which was poking fun at who? This one right here, at me.
And you were both doing your favorite thing, which is not listening.
Exactly.
Bro, go ahead.
What do we call those things? At your expense. I don't want to pay for it. It's at your expense. You're welcome. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Bro, why you say high top fade? Because is high top fade associated with the movie or is it associated with Kid and Play?
When he took his nightcap off and it was perfect, I said, yes, that was amazing.
When you think
it was like he hadn't slept.
There's no person born between 1975 and 1985 who does not associate high top fade with Kid. Like that's just
right. But is it with Kid or is it with this movie? That's the thing, bro.
Same thing.
Because it is with him. It's not. It's not.
It's anonymous. It's anonymous. Listen,
I'm open to discussion, but like I know that like after that, I mean, people's already he got a fade. A high top fade because boxes were, cut in style at the time. But after that movie, like everybody,
no one could fit on the bus.
I mean, it was a very interesting time, man. Like
no one could fit on the bus. Everyone's hair was.
That was the first time I witnessed something like that, where like, something just had such a cultural. I'm curious to hear all your little factoids.
Yeah,
because
I did get some trivia.
Because I'm just saying, I'm open to obviously
just make it the high top fade. I'm done. Boom.
You good with high top fade?
Boom. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Other than that, I was just gonna say some running feet because they were dancing. So like running man feet. That's all you. That's what else. What else do you have?
Well, that little dance that Kid and Play do, they call it the kick step. It's the Kid and Play kick step.
Yeah,
you know, and it's actually
or the Kid and Play.
Or the Kid and Play. and that it's actually like it's more like a take on like the Charleston, you know, than anything. And what's so interesting is I was reading on one article that they said that they came up with it out of survival because they couldn't get funding for like backup dancers. You know, and so this is actually Play recounting it, and it's in an article on a website called hiphopdx.com. And this is the article is actually Kid and Play revealing, you know, Kid and Play reveal how their iconic kick step dance was born, you know, so it's really interesting. And Play said that dance pretty much came out of a sense of urgency because promoters of the shows didn't want to pay us for backup dancers, Play recalled. So Kid and I not only had to deliver the rhymes, but we had to dance because we knew that that's what the people were expecting because of the music videos preceding us. So I love that.
That's fun.
It wasn't that they set out to do it.
And they knocked it out the park.
They did. I mean, people still do it now.
Out of the park.
People still do the Kid and Play right now. But I was watching it and I was like, the Kid and Play that I see humans do is not what is on this movie. I was like, people be adding some stuff and have subtracted some things. I was like, this is not it. I was like, I like this much better. The actual one. But yeah, that
and bro, don't they also have an iconic step where they like hop over one leg? I feel like I also associate that with them. Is that accurate?
That I wouldn't call it iconic, but yes.
Okay.
But yes.
You know what I'm talking about, sis?
Yes.
Play. I was about to say Play didn't do it in this movie because he saw his face when he was vacuuming. He did not do a good job.
It didn't work out that time.
It didn't work out that time.
We have snuck it. We have snuck into discussion.
Yes. Well, but yes, because you're right, bro. But we decided that we're going to do high top fade. Yeah. And you know, I do wish I had taken some time because again, I'm
actually
struggling.
The podcast line is happy.
No, because I'm struggling with choosing something that is about one of like the people in the movie as opposed to the movie itself.
It's about an era. The hair was an era.
Let me tell you something.
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
Era.
If you had a flashcard with just like a black and white with just kids high top, and you flash it to a Gen Xer and say movie, 100% will say house party.
All right.
Without fail.
100.
All right.
Without
You've made your case. You've made your case.
Without hell.
Oh, you've made your case. You know, because I wish I had time because I really think there's something in the house
so
itself.
Happy that you didn't have time.
You know,
the whole podcast land is thankful.
There's something really important.
They're happy you didn't have time.
I'm feeling drained already.
I'm
feeling drained thinking about her, thinking about it.
No time.
And I'm gonna tell you what else.
I'll come up with it later and I'll circle back to the two of you.
No.
And it would be
hilarious if like the video cut to just like a singular.
Yeah, you know, that's what it is.
Like all black around
her just by herself inflated it. That's why it was bad.
Or whatever what I would have said.
I'll just dub the audio. Like it'll still be like this moment, but I'll just change all the audio to me.
And the other thing I want to say about this movie is that it is just it's a very shallow level movie. Like it's just they're just doing stuff.
Honey, they
that
are
is
land.
Fun.
Totally shallow. They are on land.
And so what I'm saying is that is also appropriate that I'm not saying, it's just like, that's what I think about when I see it, so
yes,
I don't really have
don't overthink it. Is
what
that's
what I'm saying.
This is not one to overthink. Yeah. Well, bro, I'm happy you said that because let's go to our recap. Right. And this is a very simple recap, y'all. Because again, it's a very simple movie.
It's a simple movie.
It's a very simple movie, So we do a recap. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, because our content is generally quite old. Okay, and people want to enjoy the podcast, so we do a recap. All right, so House Party focuses on the experiences of a bunch of high school kids, even though the casting, they were all 50. Anyway, House
they went to the same school as Grease. It was Grease High. That's where all these movies were. I'm
gonna say this one was worse than Grease. I would say so far.
I don't know. They were both bad.
They were bad. But I really feel like
go to Ramalama University.
Yo, Full Force had grown man face.
Totally. And
like they had.
Why do you have gel muscles in high school? What are you doing?
Are we getting?
Okay. All right. Into the recap.
We'll talk about.
Okay.
Riding around in a Jeep with lights on. I'm sorry. Just like, what is happening here?
On a school night. All right. House Party focuses on the experience of a bunch of high school kids in a suburban community. Played by Christopher Martin, decides to throw a party while his parents are out of town. He spends the day at school inviting people to the party and recruiting a DJ to play for free. Bilal, played by Martin Lawrence. His best friend, Kid, played by Christopher Reid, is excited for the party, but gets into some trouble at school that day, and he ends up getting grounded by his father, who's played by Robin Harris. Of course, Kid sneaks out anyway and goes to the party. He does eventually make it to the party, but he has to outrun some high school bullies along the way. And the bullies, by the way, they try to get into the party, but they end up being turned away. Why? Because they're bullies. Okay. And that actually, incites them to literally try to burn the house down where the party is taking place. They end up getting caught, by police and stopped. These particular police are both crooked and idle. And they've just been rolling around. They've just been driving about. Just been rolling around town, like basically starting their own trouble. Anyway, so this is happening outside. Meanwhile, the party is jumping. The house is packed. The teens are dancing, laughing, having a good time. And let me just say, it's good, clean fun. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's one guy who drinks. He brought his own beer. People were like, why are you drinking? Stop it. You're so dumb. And he's
an alcoholic. Old English.
Yeah, I don't think he made it. I don't think he's around right now.
It was even frowned upon, the kids were like, we're just here to dance, listen to music. So there were a couple of dance-offs and a couple of rap-offs. And then there are actually two main love interests in the movie. Sydney, played by Tisha Campbell, and Shireen, played by AJ Johnson. Kid and Play both like both girls. So they're flirting with both of them, just hoping one will pick them, And Shireen loves it. Oh, she just loves it. And she's flirting with both of them. Ultimately, she's just teasing them. She never even kisses either of them, doesn't really give either of them any play. Sydney, on the other hand, she likes Kid and she hates feeling so interchangeable with her friend. And she does ultimately get with Kid. He walks her home and they kiss and they almost have sex, and her parents came home and almost caught them, and Kid ends up scurrying out the back door. And the party actually does break up a little earlier than it might have because someone breaks Play's toilet. Okay, so he's frustrated. He's sending everyone home. And then he gets a call from the police station. Somehow Kid, who was just walking the girls home, has gotten himself arrested. Turns out he was trying once again to run from those same bullies, played by Full Force. Trying to run from those same bullies. And now he got himself arrested. And so Play, Bilal, and Shireen and Sydney, they pull their money together and they bail Kid out of jail. And, obviously Kid is beyond relieved. And then he tries to sneak back into his house. And even though this night has been so eventful, he does really believe that he has outwitted his father. He's sneaking back in, thinks he's not going to get caught. Too bad. Unfortunately, his dad had realized hours ago that he was gone. And his dad had even gone out and tried to find him. So, by the time Kid got home, That father was livid, okay? And so as soon as kid tiptoes into his bedroom.
He was at that party. What you?
As soon as kid tiptoes into his bedroom, you know, his father is not too far behind.
With a belt.
The end. Yeah.
Listen, let me tell you something.
And over the credits, over the credits, he was getting the epic. It was so because it was, you know, how Black parents, when they beat and they emphasize their words with the beat.
Listen,
how many times I got
Black parent mad? It's one thing if you did something you don't have no business doing, okay? But now you're at a place of full force disrespect when you're coming in late. First of all, you left when I told you weren't supposed to. But then you had the audacity to then on top of that come in late.
and then you know what kids' philosophy about the whole thing was. He was kind of like, I'm already really in trouble. And so let's just say I do get caught.
Of course.
How much worse can it get? That was his philosophy the whole night. You know, I'm already in trouble for getting in trouble at school. So, you know.
Terrible philosophy.
Can I say this though? Every one of us has said that. Every teenage guy in that era, at least, has said that. Like we have all, I remember literally being in circumstances where I know I'm over. Like you'll even be talking to them like, you're not going to, like, you know, you're not going to be seen for like a few months or a month and a half. And like, you're like,
worth it.
Yeah, you just think that's what you're saying. You're like, I mean, because after a certain point, like, it's like whatever, you know, it's like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So I might as well just have fun.
This is why parents are tired by the time they get to the youngest. This is why the youngest be able to get away with certain stuff because the oldest has already stressed them out. Has stressed them out completely. Now I'm happy I wasn't like a partier kid and stuff like that. I remember daddy having to like make sure I was like buying girly clothes. So it wasn't an issue. Like I was just getting away with things. If anything, I went to a sleepover one time and I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to another one. I never want to go again. People are crazy. So by the time they get to me, they could be tired because I wasn't doing anything.
Well, I'll just tell you this. If they were tired, it was purely Aubrey because I was doing the exact opposite.
No, but
I was thinking about how to make sure I never, ever, ever, ever did anything that would ever get me in trouble anywhere. At home, at school,
Janiyah was patrolling the house, the house hallways with a clipboard. Like, you have a hall pass. And I don't want to give the impression that I did this a whole lot. But like, cause Dad was not having that.
Yeah.
Well,
Dad was not having that. But what I'm saying is, let's just say I'm at a point. Mom, in high school, I think my curfew was midnight or something. I don't know, whatever it was. Let's just say it was midnight.
That's generous.
That's real generous.
Like, let's say my curfew was 11, and it's like we're out, and it's 10:50. And I know I missed a curfew. Like 11:30 beat down is the same as a 12:30 beat down. Like you're getting, so it's like, why am I, like, I'm gonna stress myself out and still get the equivalent beat down. I might as well just put it all on this, like in the rare times that happens.
Yes.
Like, because I'll also say, I'm not, I was never an athlete in school, but y'all remember the 67A Moreauville?
Yes.
Yeah, the bus.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know after a certain time, it stopped all the way up there by Linden. Right? So
oh boy, that was far, by the way. So that's like
that's far. Especially to be walking.
Yeah,
and whatever my let's say my curfew again, it was midnight, but whatever it was. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, y'all are like, I gotta get off here. And you can just imagine me going from comfortably, I'm gonna be home by curfew to what? And I'm gonna tell y'all, I remember it was cold. I had a coat on and I ran the entire way. And nobody can tell me that mine ain't over matter. Because there's no circumstance where I would have did that other than
it's like a mother lifting a car off her child.
Yes, it was just like it was, and I was just, and anytime I got tired,
oh my God.
Because like if you're intentionally taking a beat down, that's one thing, but getting in trouble for like
when you weren't going to, you did the right thing.
Yeah, I just, and I remember by the time
when parents are mad, like you cannot have a rational conversation.
There is none. Well, no, because I understand that now. Because I don't care. Because I don't care what happened. You were here at 12. That's what you do. The story doesn't really make difference to me. No, sure. Like I would be the exact same way. Because when I got to the door, I made it. It was like 11:59. It was like a minute, and I remember Dad was there, and like I'm out of breath, I'm sweating, the coat's and he's like, "What happened to you?" I'm like, the 6, 7, 8. It started running all the way up my window, but I knew I had to be in time, so I, read, and I was expecting some kind of accolades. He was like, good. And he just went back to whatever he was doing. Like, yeah. So I'm just saying, I don't want to act like I would do that all the time. It's just, it's just knowing when it's happening at the time. So I'm just saying. But
I just have to share this contrast because I didn't have a curfew. Okay. But I also always had quarters with me to call. And I would call and give a status report. Okay. We're now heading to the movies. We have finished dinner. We're heading to the movies now. Okay.
If I had a daughter like Genia or Brittany, I wouldn't give them curfews either. Like they were the only time Genia ever got in trouble ever was in relation to me. Like she never got in her own trouble. So like
no, I did
my in trouble was I talked too much in school. But I remember Daddy saying to Mommy, he was like, I used to do the same thing. It was almost like him like, it's in her DNA. Like
she can't help it.
I'm just saying that.
Well, this is funny because when I was watching this movie, to that part when Genia was doing the review and the recap, and she was like, oh, they almost had sex, like looking back on it. And I was just like, no, let's really go back to that scene. He's saying to her, he's like, are you on birth control? She's like, no. He was like, do you have a diagram? She's like, you mean a diaphragm? No. Then she goes, well, do you have that other thing, that, oh man, I can't think of the name. And I was like,
whatchamacallit?
I was like, are we serious right now? I said, we knew diaphragm, birth control pills, but y'all can't remember the word. You can't remember the word condom.
That, Brittany, is so funny. I was literally discussing that yesterday. There are 2 parts of the movie that, on some level, irritate me, and the one is whatchamacallit, like
I was like, is this just real?
You can say rubbers, you can say condoms, there's so many things.
But it's messed up because the situation is so real. Like, again, high school guys, and anybody can tell you a story of you went through so many levels to get to this point. And there just wasn't, you didn't have one or like the one you had but it was a condom related situation that, stopped it from going down. And then it was like everything else that I see was so real, but you don't know what a condom, you can't think of the word of condom. I'm just telling you, Britt, I literally talked to somebody about that yesterday.
Bro, it bothered me. And then the other side of it, right? So you have someone like a kid who He gets in trouble all the time. His dad is like, stop using your mom's death as an excuse. Like, you're always doing some sort of shenanigans. Versus Sydney's mom, who is Tisha Campbell. Sydney's parents were like, now mind you, she's at the party, and you don't know any of this until you are back at her house, that she wasn't supposed to be at the party. And then on top of that, she decided, she was like, well, no, I didn't go out. She was like, yeah, she's lying to her parents about not going out because they come into her room to check on her. They were like, oh, she's so sweet. Look how cute she is.
She was like she was fake sleeping with a teddy bear.
With a teddy bear. They were like, look at her. They were like, oh, you stayed home all by yourself. It was like,
and then she snuck out again after that.
And then she snuck out again. And I was just like, this is why parents beat kids, because I'm gonna get you. I'm just let but you I know when I don't know you did.
Yeah. Yeah. And bro, what was the other moment that ruffled your feathers?
Oh, I want
the prison scene bothered me, and it always has.
Is that the same one you were thinking, sis?
It was not, but he reminded me of how
that one's
throw something at my television. I was like,
because first of all.
And that's not
even
prison.
Back then. It
it's
felt
jail.
A little weird.
He was in jail.
Yeah, he's in jail.
He was in jail. Wasn't even prison. I was like, what?
It felt like even back then. Again, I feel like comedy should go wherever it goes. But
absolutely,
I'm saying, for my opinion, even back then, that one felt a little like.
Yeah, for those
people always make jokes about that.
Yeah, for those who haven't seen it, the entire movie, it had a lot of slapstick kind of quality to it. A lot of like hijinks, like at one point kid gets stuck in a refrigerator while he's trying to run from the bullies, so there was a lot of this like corny kind of slapstickish stuff. But at the end he gets arrested, and okay, getting arrested, there's a truthfulness there, we can roll with that. But then when he is there in the holding cell with a bunch of other men, all of the men start to tell him that they're about to rape him, essentially. And then Kid does a rap to entertain them and try to distract them so that they don't rape him.
Because they're bringing up Richard Pryor.
Yeah,
and
somebody
Richard
was
Pryor,
like, somebody was like, Richard Pryor used to had told a story of getting incarcerated, or being in a holding cell or something, and telling jokes to distract people so they wouldn't, take advantage of him or beat him up, whatever. And so because Richard Pryor did, he's like, well, I can't tell jokes, but I can rap, and then he tells this whole rap about how no, they're not going to get into his booty hole and stuff, and it's just like.
And the whole song, and like not only that,
it was a whole group of men.
Yeah, like everybody
drawing straws.
Drawing straws.
Which one's gonna get him?
Yeah, like I just
it didn't make sense,
and it wasn't. I felt like it was a very unnecessary scene.
It was very unnecessary.
Like you could take the whole scene away, replace it with Kid calling play. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you needed. Like,
but even in that was unrealistic. These are minors. But he's a minor. You're not.
I could have got past that.
Yeah,
they could be 18-year-old seniors.
That's true.
Kid could be an 18-year-old senior, and even if play wasn't, like, I could get past that one.
Yeah, sure.
But especially since they were in college in two. You know what I'm saying? So like I could get past that. But like, I'm just saying that scene always just made me feel uncomfortable.
It just didn't make sense.
And the reason why
it didn't make sense.
And the reason why it's like, I just don't like that all those men were portrayed that way. And that's, especially in jail, that's not how it is.
Right.
In prison, it's a different situation. So it's like you're not even really making a joke that even kind of connects.
And it didn't go with the rest of the movie because it was
didn't add anything. It didn't go.
One of the things the movie did, which I really appreciate, I mean, there's a way to tell the story of teen life without adding Black nuances, because I mean, he could have just done that. Like, you could just take Pretty in Pink with the script it has, cast it with Black people, and it would still be truthful. You know what I'm saying? But what they did with this movie throughout was that they actually added in some of the nuance of Black life. So, for example, they had again these random idle police officers just rolling around, just essentially, just making sure their presence was known. Yeah, a quiet suburban Black neighborhood. The police are just stopping anybody that's walking, literally just walking down the street. They're stopping them. Should we ask him for ID? Just poking people around. Put your hands up. And it was they allowed that to be in there. It didn't overwhelm.
Right.
But I didn't really need to mention it in the recap because it wasn't germane to the story. But it was like, but it's like, it's true. It's true. It was a truthful part of Black life. The other one that they did that I thought was really great was there was one point where the kids end up at a party that's happening at it's adults at like a fraternity party, and it's like, adults.
A gala. It's a gala.
Thank you. It's a gala. It's a gala, and they have like Greek letters up at the top, and it's a bunch of Black adults. And yeah, that's what happens, and it was like Black people getting together in that nostalgic way around their fraternity or sorority. That felt very real, so they were plugging in these pieces that were true, that were like taking you beyond just the teen narrative to the Black teen narrative. But that prison, that holding cell scene,
it was like, out of nowhere.
Why do you even need that in here?
And even
it was
when
just ridiculous.
And even when you're talking about the gala that they were having.
Yes.
Even when there were unrealistic things happening, like kid grabbing the mic at the gala so he could rap. But it was fantastical in a movie way. It was I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Exactly.
Like it's like you took a little bit, put a little hot sauce.
Yes.
But like,
and then the police came to the party to try to to manage the disturbance that kid and the bullies had made by coming into the party. And the Black parents were like, don't take these little boys to jail.
And that's how it would have happened.
And that's
how it would have happened. It would have been like, look, they wouldn't even been, while the cops were there, they wouldn't even say nothing negative to the boys. But once it's like, we don't need to deal with that. But as soon as they would have left, then they would have been
so realistically.
And that's how it would have. That is one thing.
It would have been a reminder.
That's why
dad tonight.
That's why the jail scene irritates me so much, because every piece of this movie, without fail, I have experienced in my own life in some way. Every piece of it, like every personality, and it just puts you in this place where you're watching like, yo, that's so true. Even picking somebody up from jail. Now, it did happen. It wasn't in high school, but it was in my freshman year of college. So I had a friend who, I think he stole something from a Kaufman's, a Macy's or something. I can't remember. But anyway, I got with his girlfriend at the time, and we were running all over trying to figure out how to get this bail money together. And it was hours. Wow. And then somehow, I was pulling money off credit cards. And somehow somebody said, somehow it dawned on us, well, a bail bondsman. But neither one of us do this all the time.
Know.
So it didn't even, and so we called the bail bondsman, and then it was done in like a minute. But by the time we picked him up, it was like, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they brought him out. He was sitting in the thing, and like we had to come get him. And I'm just saying, everything in that movie was just so real that when you have the little parts that aren't, it just makes it stick out.
Well, the other part that was at the end, I thought the very last scene in the movie before kid got home was about to get his whooping, was stupid too. That little car ride. When I understood, like, I was happy they were having that conversation, because in the car at this point, they've gotten kid out of jail and they have dropped off the girls because the girls were with them to get money to get kid out of jail.
So it's just Kid, Play, and Bilal.
So it's Kid, Play, and Bilal in the car. Yes. And so they have dropped them off. And so, of course, they're now asking Kid because they know Kid walked Sydney and Shireen home. They're like, well, what happened? Because when they dropped Sydney off this last time, Kid gave her a hot and heavy kiss. And so, of course, they wanted all the deets. And so they're driving away and they're like, well, he tells them the story. We were about to, but we didn't have any protection. Or they were talking about, we didn't have any, what were they calling it?
Rubbers.
Not rubbers. They were calling it baby something. I can't remember. They were calling it something else that wasn't just protection. It was so, I was just like, why are we calling it that again? But I can't remember right now. But it was, then as they were talking, they were like, yeah, because, I just, I don't want to have a kid. And the two, Bilal and Kid, were both like, well, that's not your problem. That's her problem. And I was like, is this in a movie right now? Kid was like, well, Kid was like, of course, going against them. Like, what? Y'all two are dogs. Like, I can't believe that y'all would even think like that. He was basically saying, like, I would never do that. They were like, nah, that's on her, just basically throw some money at it for an abortion. Which all that, I'm not against any of that. My issue is just like, when I am thinking to myself, these are high school children talking like this.
I'm just letting you know.
You didn't get this type of thought process on your own.
Right.
What adult told you that this language was okay and this is what you're thinking? I'm like,
what do you mean? There were no adults there.
Well, no, it's just
that's what I'm talking about. Just over the
whatever.
What I'm talking about is
society making it the girl's problem.
The background of, and not even that, but just the fact that you are having this conversation and it sounds like it is the correct thing to do. What adult was in their lives that even gave them this type of thought process that this was okay? What did they say? What was the conversation, the background conversation that we didn't see? That is having these three boys driving down the street. That's her problem.
I'm gonna just let you know that was another extremely real scene. And
I'm not taking it away from being real.
But what I'm saying is,
and it is why where we are.
I'm just saying that I feel like that scene was necessary because the debrief talk between boys is what would have happened. And it just wouldn't have felt real if they didn't discuss it. And I'm going to just let you know that it's not necessarily what people say to their kids. It's that they don't have conversations about, at least at the time, they don't have conversations about sex with their kids at all. So whatever conclusions they're coming to are not a result of anything. It's just them thinking whatever they're thinking, and they're just horny boys. And I'm gonna tell you, you have to be very vigilant as a young man to know what you got to do. And anybody who's had conversations with the boys has definitely had that conversation where you had a story, it didn't happen because you didn't have birth control, and then they're like, what?
That's the word they kept using for everything, was birth control. That's the word. They kept using that for everything. They were calling condoms birth control.
Whatever.
Everything was birth control. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
They were calling it something. I was like, why don't you just call it a condom? So,
yeah. But because they're in that conversation, they're considering other forms as well. But the point I'm trying to make is that is what would happen.
Well, so I want to be clear, though. I don't believe that was an unbelievable scene. I want to be very clear about that because women, we debrief as well.
Yeah.
And so I know that all people, when they go back to their friends, they're going to talk about it, right? You're going to get into all the whatever type of details and everything like that. It is more so an issue of your immediate, you were 50% part of creating a possible human, but your immediate mindset is no responsibility at all. That's her problem. Where did that come from? That can't just be a lack of, we didn't talk about sex with our parents. Like that is something deeper than that.
It could be both. I mean, I think in some cases it's probably kids making up stuff on their own. In some cases, somebody's father said, or parents said to them, that's that girl's problem. I mean, it's all of that probably leads to the situation. And I'll just say, like, I'll say for me, one of the things that I thought the movie did a good job of was always showing us that the children were not like a homogenous group. You know, it was like, here's this one guy drinking and nobody else is drinking.
That's
you
right.
know, even the best friend group of Shireen and Sydney. Sydney's like, oh, she's in it for the flirt. Okay. I mean, Shireen is in it for the flirt. Okay. She just likes having all the boys like her and she's like loving it.
It's having fun.
And Sydney, they're best friends. But Sydney is like, no, I want a boyfriend. I don't want to be interchangeable. I don't want to just be like a hot topic flitting around, you know?
And those relationships exist.
And so
those
exactly.
friendships are
and
just
so
like...
in the boys, you know, here are two that are like cavalier about birth control. And then he's taking it very seriously.
That's right.
The other thing I thought about that scene, though, was that I thought some of it was just the boys having talking points, because I don't think any of the three of them were actually getting as much play as they acted like they were getting. You know, they're sitting there like, oh man, when I'm with the chick, yada, yada, yada. How many chicks have you actually been with? You know what I mean? So I also thought it was just that high school kind of like, I'm pretending I have numbers I don't have, an experience I haven't actually had.
That definitely, yeah.
I heard a little bit of that in that scene.
Yeah, I this is what I'll say. If they didn't have a scene afterwards where the guys were talking, that would have bothered me.
Yeah.
Because that just, there's no way. But if all three of them, if Kid was telling a story and he was like, yeah, you know, we didn't because I didn't have a condom. And all three of them were like, well, that was a good decision.
Yeah.
Like that just, it wouldn't have been realistic.
Good going, bro. Good
yeah,
going, bro.
it would not have been realistic. And so I feel like there had to be a debrief.
Yeah.
And for it to be realistic, you had to have, and I think they played it to make play sound ridiculous. I think that's what they were doing. Like they were.
I can appreciate that because I understand. I want to be clear to Podcast America. Yeah. I am not saying they should have had a debrief. So if you try to come for me, you're coming for the wrong person. But what I am saying is that the conversation about like the way it was said, I did not appreciate. I didn't appreciate.
Well, can I tell y'all there's another scene I wanted, or it wasn't even a scene. It was just something that was in there that I thought they handled well.
One thing real quick. I just love that we're getting all the bad stuff out first.
And I don't, you know, and I got to tell y'all, bro, it's so interesting because I'm not even looking at this as bad stuff.
Yeah, I was just,
you know,
tongue in cheek. I'm just saying,
stuff
there are a lot of fun things I want to talk about.
Well, I will just say, like, and this is actually something I did appreciate, was like they had one of the main characters that lived in the projects, which was Shireen. And I really appreciated that it wasn't like a stigmatized thing. It was just like she lived in the projects, you know, and that felt so true because that's the truth. Maybe you were the one that lived in the projects, but you had a friend that lived in the projects, but that's a part of Black teen life. In that time, I mean, we had friends that lived in the projects, or we lived in the projects. That was our group, you know, and they just seamlessly integrated it as just a fact of life.
Absolutely talked about it
totally, and I didn't even fully appreciate it until it was mentioned in a couple of the articles that I read. You know, the other thing they did, which I really appreciated, was that they didn't get specific about what city it is, you know, and I'm just thinking about like the 90s movies that we have been watching, you know, the last couple seasons. It's like they're really saying it's this hood, you know, and then there's like the lore that goes, you know, and it turns out that they were intentional about that. Okay. And it says that, so there was this great article on theringer.com, and it's celebrating the 30th anniversary of the movie. And again, it's the first one celebrating the 30th anniversary of the first movie. And they basically said that the makers were intentional. They said nowhere in this movie is a city or town mentioned, because the creators didn't want anyone who watched it to feel like this could only happen in Chicago, New York, or wherever. They wanted to make sure it was a universal experience.
It was.
And I really appreciated that.
And they nailed it.
Yeah, it was anywhere USA. You know what I mean? It was any Black neighborhood. And I love that.
Yes.
And even how they, because they didn't even portray the projects negatively.
No,
necessarily.
It was just because the fact of their circle.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there. And it's funny because if you visit somebody in the projects, that's how it is. Totally. There's a lot of family in there. What kind of Kool-Aid you want? Grape or red?
Red.
Yeah. And then when I should pour that sugar in.
There are so many things.
Girl, that make it good.
I appreciated that. It was so much sugar in that Kool-Aid.
Describing her in parts of the scene that I don't want to get into because I just sound like a negative Nancy right now about this movie. So I'm not going to say anything, but I didn't like it as how they described her.
Since you teased it up, now you got to share it.
When they were talking about, when Play was talking to Kid about, if you're going to be dealing with Shireen, you gotta deal with this, you gotta deal with that, and da-da-da. Meanwhile, Shireen didn't kiss either one of them, didn't let either one of them in the house. And as soon as Kid got to Sydney's house, they was having sex. Like, I'm just like, I don't, this persona, y'all.
But sis, can I give you my reaction?
Let's talk about the dancing.
Sis, let me give you my reaction to that scene, though. Let me give you that reaction to my reaction to that.
Yeah.
Because I experienced it a little differently. I didn't even know which scene you were talking about for a minute. But there's an exchange between Kid and Play where Kid is trying to go after Shireen, but Play kind of wants Shireen. Play wants them both. He wants either one, frankly, but he's trying to discourage Kid.
He wants all the women at that party. He does not just want one or two. He wants all of them.
But he's trying to discourage Kid from going after Shireen. And he was like, oh, you can't handle a project, girl, because there's a bunch of people in the house and you need privacy, and you don't have privacy at your house, Kid, so you can't take her to your house. You can't hang with her. It was Kid trying to Play trying to discourage Kid. That's how I experienced it, sis, more than it was about him trying to disparage Shireen or kind of sum up her experience. It was more like, Kid, you can't handle this.
Well, I don't think let me tell you either, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't like that description.
Let me tell y'all, that conversation was strictly logistical, and it played out.
It was about privacy.
It played out, like, because what he's saying is, you have parents who are always home. She has parents who are always home. So that means y'all can't connect. What I'm saying is, you should mess with the one whose parents are out at galas.
That's what he was saying.
Okay.
And because my parents are out on vacation. So Shireen can come here because we're literally at a party right now that my parents are in Jamaica. And your dad is home, her parents are home. So where y'all gonna hook up? So what ended up happening? He was able to hook up at the house where the parents were gone. So that's all the conversation was. What do y'all think about the casting? Like, I would tell you the one thing that when I saw this, that was funny to me.
You mean beyond their ages?
No, I'm only talking about the ages first.
Okay.
Because I want to know, was there okay, I didn't hate it in the sense that it gave another aspect of being funny to me. It's like seeing these adults play kids. And also, I'm like, I don't know what the alternative would be, because for them to do the things that they were doing, they had to be adults at any point for that to really be acceptable on a certain level.
You're an adult when you're 20, so you don't have to be 26. So we did look up the ages. Kid was
but
26.
anyway, I'm just saying.
Kid was 26. Play was 28. The members of Full Force were in their early 30s. AJ Johnson was 27. And Tisha Campbell was 22. And then James pointed out that Tisha Campbell had been in School Days as a college student a couple years before this movie. School Days was like 88. And now she's gone back in time, and now she's playing a high school student.
I'm just telling you, like, I don't know. I've always noticed it. It's always been a funny thing people say about Osborne, but it's just watching it this time. I'm like, because like Full Force, there is no just how
they had gel muscles. You have been here for years.
Oh wait,
you have been around.
There was
the planet for years.
There was only an 11-year age difference between Robin Harris and Kid. So the guy who played his father and him, 11 years.
I mean, what did you see anything about that?
What do you about?
Did you see any trivia about that? I'm just curious.
I should have Googled like why are all these actors so old?
Yeah.
Part of me feels like, as I was watching it, I think that I've let that part go for all of these movies because I just feel like the 80s was doing that just with all the movies.
Sis, you're right.
Everybody was a grown up. But also, as I've stated before on this podcast, that people in the 80s and the early 90s looked older in high school. I don't know what that was about. I don't know why. Like, I've talked about it before, like how our high school had class pictures up along the wall. And as you would get back to the later years, guys have full mustaches. Women looked like they had come back from a 9 to 5. It was just so weird. But as we got closer to my class, people were looking like little teeny boppers with, striped shirts,
ballies in their hair.
Like it was like, what happened?
Hair ballies.
So exactly. So even when I think about looking at them and knowing that it's hilarious that Play was 28, because I'm like, I feel like they were like, all y'all look too old to be in high school. I feel like at their meeting.
Yeah, Brittany, that's how I feel. I feel like they just leaned into it like, whatever. Like, we ain't even going to try to make you look young.
Right.
It's just, that's what we do.
Like you have 401ks. So let's just get over that. Okay. But that's where we are at this point.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Because I think it was just them being famous.
That was the
them
thing.
Being famous.
It was casting a famous duo as the center. Yeah. And do y'all know that the original casting that they originally wanted for House Party? Do y'all know this little factoid? Okay, this one is good. Okay. So, and this would not have improved the ages, by the way. It still would have been old. Okay. But
listen, 80s university, 80s university in high school.
No, I like what you call it, Ramalama Ding Dong University.
It's Ramalama Ding Dong University where all these people have come from.
They old. So House Party was originally offered to DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. Okay,
that would have been a different movie.
But here's the interesting part. Okay, so it turned out that New Line Cinema had sued Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff because of their song Nightmare on My Street. They were sampling all of this Nightmare on Elm Street language and story, they didn't get permission to sample. And so New Line Cinema had won a lawsuit against them. And instead of asking for money, they had options. They were like, you can give us money or you can star in a movie for us. And so they had literally a commitment to star in a New Line Cinema movie. And the only reason they weren't in this is because the actual producer and director, they were like, we don't want to cast them just because they have to be in it. We want them to like it and to choose it.
Right.
Okay.
And so it was truly the production team, the Hudlin Brothers, saying, no, we're not going to force them into this. So I just think that was an interesting little nugget.
Yeah, I mean,
but they still would have been old, they were the same age. Will Smith would have been 22 years at the time.
You know, and it's
well, that's like, a little. Well, that would have been a little closer.
That's better than 27.
Yeah, in 28. You know, we're at least a little like. Even when you said Tisha Campbell, she was 22. I said, okay,
that's a little better.
You know, that's like you're still a little young Pop-Tart. Yeah. But now we're getting into a place where you can't be on your parents' insurance. Oh.
The funny thing is, like, I don't think Will Smith or Jazzy Jeff would be corny enough to play kid. Like you needed a special. For this to work, he had to be a special mix of like geeky, cool, like, and to even pull off, you know,
bro.
Like I have
to disagree.
I can't hear Will Smith doing the spanking scene at the end. As much as Uncle Phil chased him around the house. Yeah, but I don't hear him, you know, like, you know how a kid was at the end, like, oh, you know, like I don't see Will Smith is like, he's an actor. He's, you know, he's like an actor. You know, you think about scenes out of Fresh Prince. Like, he's had some scenes.
That's like right about that.
When you like when his dad left, or when Carlton got shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, when he was like, "You owe me. Give me the gun. I want the gun. Give me," like, yo, I get chills thinking about. And I'm just saying.
Well, let's not make it like Will's always been like that now, because Will even talks about how they had to write into Fresh Prince him looking into the camera because he kept looking into the camera and how he was mouthing other people's lines.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. I saw that. Yeah, you are not wrong.
He might have been.
You're not wrong.
You're not been wrong. Too cool. He might have been cool. Maybe.
I don't know.
Because Kid was talking like this. Kid was like, "Well, I don't know. Something. I was like, this is a movie."
I'm just saying, here's what it is.
There was a movie that I don't know if you saw this movie, Aubrey, but me and Brittany watched this movie. I think more than once, which was Made in America with Nia Long, Whoopi Goldberg, Ted Danson.
Oh yeah.
Will Smith played a nerdy, lame-o guy in that, and he did a great job. I agree with you that he's not a slapstickish kind of actor.
I see what you're saying.
But I believe he could have played that character or either of those characters. Now, who I don't think could have probably held it up was DJ Jazzy Jeff, because I mean,
he was an actor.
Did he even really act in Fresh Prince? You know, so could he play that?
He was perfect for who he was. Yeah. Absolutely. Because he absolutely looked like some older man. Will, why are you friends with him? I don't understand.
It was perfect. Look up his name.
Why are you?
Yeah, so
he's idle. He don't have no place he's going.
I see what y'all saying. I just, Will Smith seems too much of like a sex symbol.
Okay, about the same age. Well, baby, ain't nobody saying about that.
No, I'm just saying, like, kid was like a cute,
corny kind of
guy.
Yeah,
corny, like quirky, like girls were, oh, he's cute, you know, like where Will Smith is like a sex symbol kind of.
Yeah, they were making him much more. Yeah.
Yeah, but all the points you're saying, I actually, it'd be funny to see in a different universe them do that, because I wonder how it would have turned out. I wonder.
Something that did make me kind of chuckle in the movie was just seeing how selfish Play was.
Yo,
Play was so selfish.
He was the worst.
He was the worst. From his cousin. Why every time you come to pick him up, there is someone in the car? When he was scratching up his speakers, like, you guys, Aubrey used to have speakers in his room, and all I could think to myself is how that I was just watching him scratch these speakers up, like, oh, I just could not believe, because it's not like, you know,
selfish.
You know, your headphones get messed up, you go buy a new pair of headphones. Like, if you blow out a speaker, like, they're still expensive. And so it's just,
and as a high school student getting their equipment, you have worked for that.
Yes. You are an act. He has so many records. He was like, you treat my stuff. What is I was just like, I felt so bad.
And left him.
Left him.
But you know what's so funny is that's how it would be. Like these.
At least one in the friend group.
Well, I'm just saying, you got these narcissistic dudes, you know, and because of how they are, they would have a lot of women, largely because, first of all, they play the numbers. They talk to everybody all the time.
Which he did.
So, like, if you're...
He did not discriminate.
You even if you're not successful, if you talk to 100 women, you could get 10 and only been 10% successful. And, like, if you
and that's still like a good day.
Yeah. He's so selfish. And we all know these people. You know, we know people like this. And something that's a little interesting, a bit of the background, is that the writer and director, Reginald, this started as a thesis film while he was at Harvard. So it started out as like a 20-minute like thesis student film, you know, and it eventually, so I'll read you a little nugget from again, back to this article, you know, from the Ringer. Long before House Party became a classic, it was a student film. It was a student film of Hudlin's. An undergrad at Harvard University in the early 80s, Hudlin spent an entire summer working to fund his senior thesis project. On the last day of his break, he was packing up to return when Luther Vandross's 1982 hit, Bad Boy Having a Party, began playing on the radio. At the time, Black music videos weren't really a thing. This is now a quote. At the time, Black music videos weren't really a thing, so I would come up with the music video in my head to a song, Hudlin said. I kept thinking about what it would be, and then I thought, no, that's a movie. He had spent the entire summer working on an unrelated script, but that song convinced him to rip it up and start on what would become House Party. So, right. So again, you know what I'm remembering?
That's
like,
dope.
When we were watching The Wood, bro, you were talking about how so many of the experiences rang so true. And then as we started to look into the creators, we were like, okay, these were Black men who created this thing. So yeah, this is why it was so true. And so this was a young Black man, you know, writing this story that came out as his imagination spurred by a song, you know.
That is so interesting.
He's writing about his truth, the people he knows, you know, his experiences.
Man,
yeah, I bet that's another one, just like The Wood. I bet if we talked to him, he probably has a story that created every part. Yeah, every part of the movie. Yes. Like everything that happened. He probably like, yeah, back in the day I did such and such, because that's just how it feels. And I'm gonna tell you, we talk about like walking into that party is how walking into a party felt.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Back then, like that party was in full swing, and they
were not trying to be cute, y'all. They were sweating. They were dancing. They were in it for the moves.
We used to go to parties with sweat rags.
Yeah.
We used to go to parties with sweat rags because you knew
you were going to be sweating.
You knew you were going. You knew because you were there, and obviously you might not get as intricate as Kid and them with the dance routines, but you all had things planned. Like yo, when this song come on, we gonna do boom, 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 boom. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like you had this planned out, and it was like, it was so much fun. It was just so much fun to know you were curious to see what somebody was gonna do at the party, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is why we were having a conversation in the green room just about how things are different and how they've changed. And I'm just like, this is why, you know, we discuss how technology has really impacted it. And not in some, you know, just all negative, but there's been a lot of positive. But I just go like, dang, is it only technology that has destroyed that? Like, or has messed that up, or has changed it so radically, like that we just
you don't think the house party still happen?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think.
And let me be very clear, y'all. I've been to like one house party in my life.
I didn't go till college. I went to several.
Yeah, I'm in like
when I got
one,
into
so
college, I didn't go in high school.
I was not one of the cool kids. I was not getting invited to things. But if you had a church social, I was there. So, but let's continue.
I'm just saying. I don't.
What makes you think? I mean, it's possible. I think kids are still getting together and dancing and having a good time.
Well, I'm make it sound so like it's a hold down.
Like the thing is that we don't see.
They're having a good
time. We don't see them posting about it if they do.
Oh.
Like and they're like what I'm saying is that
I don't have a bunch of high school kids on my feed, but I guess I don't know.
No, I'm just saying
but they're partying. We know they're partying.
I'm just saying
they gotta be dancing.
But I don't think so.
Well, see, their dances have changed. Like they do. They have these TikTok things. So I like to watch them on TikTok because I'm like, oh my goodness, I just love this energy. You know, I like seeing them on YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm like, but is that a dance you do in front of somebody else? Like, yeah, y'all face to face doing this, you know, these dances that they do. And I'm like, I don't know.
We did the Macarena. Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did. We did the Macarena.
Yes, we did.
I wonder, like, you know,
let's ask some of our youthful listeners and viewers,
which we don't.
But let us know in the chat
if you have children or nieces and nephews that are in high school. Do they go to parties and do they?
I think there's a party. There's a party in New York, and it is called the Freedom Party. Okay, and it is. And this, Brittany, did I take you to the Freedom Party?
Yes, I went one time.
Listen, the Freedom Party,
having a good time.
It happens like every month, you know, it's always happening. But all it is you go in there and you just dance. And it's not recent music. I mean, they are taking it back. It is 90s music. Like, it's the music we want to dance to.
I want to go to that.
Yeah, I will take you, bro. And it's just people in there dancing. There's none of this. Oh, let me take a picture of myself to show that I'm here. It's not that at all.
You can't even take a picture because it's too dark.
Yes. As soon as you walk in, people have on tennis shoes and jeans. There's all, of course, there's people in heels and hookah shorts, you know, poom shorts. But there's also just people in jeans and t-shirts.
Shorts because I'm not hating. I had the thighs. That's all
I'm not hating. I'm just saying.
Around my thighs would be out.
What's a poom short?
It's the same shorts they wear in the commercial. We wear short shorts. If you wear short shorts,
I got you.
Yeah, the whole leg is out.
Point just about technology changing all of that. One part of me wants to so heavily reject that because I'm like, dang, we're humans. Like, dog, like there's got to be something that we can do to preserve some of this type of stuff. But I also see there is this thing of wanting to give people who may have not been able to be successful in spaces where there are a ton of people because you're more of an introvert and stuff like that. So this is now giving you this is now giving you an opportunity where, like, I'm not at the party with the loud music, everybody's dancing. There's not a kid running around trying to get with every woman.
A play
trying to get with every woman that's at the party, you know. Now it's like, okay, I have my chance to at least show my personality and have this conversation in this way. But what has happened, it is taken over, in a sense, people being able to be out there and be charismatic and do all these different things and struggle through getting, you know, rejected, which we all will experience at some point in life, right? But just getting rejected in that way, being like, instead of going like, all right, cool, she cute too, like, let me go over here, or he's cute too, let me go over here. It's more so like, dang, now I gotta process, now this, now. And so I just, it's making me think more and more about that. So, because I wanted so badly to reject, like, technology hasn't done all of this, but I'm like,
sis, you know what you have just done with what you just shared? You have just spoken like to why movies like House Party are important, because it is a little time capsule. It's showing that period, you know, and no matter what happens, that movie is always going to show us what life was like in 1990. And that's why representation is so important, because if all the movies are of white life, where's our time capsule? Well, how do we tell the story of what it was like for us? That's why we have to like share the fullness of our stories. And that's why people like the Hudlin brothers are so important. Because I'm gonna call out.
Janai just made House Party deep.
I want to call out.
It was already deep at the beginning when she was like, they put it into the school of love or whatever it was, and I was like, wait, House Party? She just made
it feel more important to me.
That's Hudlin Brothers.
No wonders, honey, because what?
Y'all, we must shout out, because again, we have to know the names of these people. Because I mean, why do I know John Hughes's name so easily?
Right.
You know what I mean? The Hudlin brothers, okay? Warren Hudlin and Reginald Hudlin, okay? Warren Hudlin actually co-founded and served as the president of the Black Filmmakers Foundation. Okay, all they have been doing since the 70s is fostering audience development and providing financial assistance to Black filmmakers. Okay, all right. He went to Yale. Reginald went to Harvard. I want to tell you just a couple of their films, because again, it's like we need to know these names. Boomerang, Bebe's Kids, okay, Ride, okay. We need to know these people. You know, Reginald did Ladies Man. Okay. Y'all, The Great White Hype. He directed The Great White Hype. Okay. That was a funny one too. You know, so I gotta say, I also so that to me was an important takeaway. Don't know
their names,
we don't know their names, but these are people who are out here and you know looking at
and
they're
various, part of culture.
Big time. And looking at their various interviews, they are so intentional. They're like, oh, we seek to tell the full story of Black experience. That's what they out here doing.
So then, like, how did we get from House Party to like Juice? It was, you know, like, I mean, but it shows
both of them need to be told.
But also, it's what is Hollywood elevating? Like, you know, there are the films that exist, and then there are the films that get the money and the distribution.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
The thread through all of them is badass kids.
Well, can I ask y'all this? What did you think?
It's really interesting.
First of all,
that needs to just
most importantly, very important question. What do y'all think about the dance battle scene? I want to talk about that first.
That's one of the iconic scenes.
I was waiting for it. I was like, when are we? I was just like, I'm done with all this other parts of this movie. When do we get into this party? So I can see AJ, Sydney and Shireen get down. Like, I'm ready to see them dance.
Yo, let me tell you, I still get excited when Chill is talking to Kid and he's like, yo, show me that move you was doing. And I'm like, oh, it's coming. And I just, there are so many things that have permeated our culture that came from that movie that are in our language.
What else, bro? We talked about the hair.
If I was like you, I would have been writing notes. But like,
it's definitely the hair. It's definitely you know,
which was funny because even to that point,
I'm thinking about it too.
You talked about that one little braid she had. He was like, "I see you with that one braid," and I was like, "I'm gonna just that one braid. I didn't even realize that was a braid. I was wondering what that little piece of hair was." I'm
gonna just say that there'll be more I can think of after I've stopped.
There were some lines that I think people call back to that were by Robin Harris and John Witherspoon. You know, John Witherspoon played a neighbor that was in the house near where the party was happening.
Next door. And he called the police, you know.
Calling the police.
He did a little cat calling out the window to the high school students. And I was like,
you got some nice ones, though.
I was like, John, but
I paid $15
right now. I was like,
they're both of them, Robin Harris and John Witherspoon. Their lines were ad-libbed improv, and I was reading one article where basically they were saying this movie was done back in the time where there was film and you couldn't just be wasting film. Right. And so they would intentionally do a couple of takes where the cast didn't know that they weren't being recorded. And it was because people would break so much when John Witherspoon and Reese and Robin Harris were saying things. Yeah. They would let it go a couple of times so that they could actually get a take that wouldn't waste film. Because that's how funny the two of them were on set. And y'all, do you know Robin Harris passed away, y'all, 9 days before the movie was released.
I did know that. I did
9 days.
Yeah, it's crazy.
See, when I noticed that, I remembered us talking about that in a previous podcast for a different reason. I don't remember why we brought it up. Yeah. But we were talking about Robin Harris passing during not too long after House Party. I don't know why we brought it up, but I remembered us discussing that for whatever reason. Archives.
Yeah, and there's so many of these Black comedian / actors that they're just a part of like what we know, you know? And then I think personally, Robin Harris, I don't know the depth of his work and the breadth of his work as much as I wish I did. You know, like I know that some of his stand-up footage is out there. I made a little note for myself, like, let me go out and appreciate this man more fully, you know?
You're gonna hate that.
And I never really watched Bebe's Kids. You know, I knew it was happening.
That definitely needs to be added. Bebe's Kids and Above the Rim are two things that we haven't gotten to yet, but we need to get to those.
Oh, and the Bebe's Kids movie, I'm not 100% clear on this, but I think the Hudlin Brothers did the movie after Robin Harris had passed away, because Robin Harris had been alive for the show, and then I think they did the movie later. You know, So anyway, there's an important legacy in these actors. Even the woman who played Reese, sorry, I keep calling him Reese Witherspoon, John Witherspoon's wife. Do y'all know her name?
I do not know her name, but I know that she was Myra on Martin, and you got to go to town on Myra's feet.
Bebe Drake. Bebe Drake.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just think about just think about all the, like,
she was in so much stuff.
It was just funny seeing Martin with I'm about to say Gina. I mean, it was just funny.
Tisha Campbell.
Seeing Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell. Just
that was the first time they met on that set, by the way. I read that.
Yeah. And it's, from what I understand, that's how he was like, yo, you know, I got this TV show. And you're just seeing all these, and Martin is part of our culture like anything else. And to know it was all starting in these little, you know, because what I was thinking about was the dance specifically, that after that movie, everybody was trying to do the Kid and Play. Like there are a few things I've witnessed like that, where it's just like everybody was trying to do. And it was because, man, like they just had these moments that were just dope. Like that was just a dope, scene where, and the way they did it, whoever, you mentioned the choreographer, but every part.
AJ Johnson did some of the choreography, who was actually played Shireen.
Okay, right. So every part got a little better. Like when they were going back and forth, every part got a little better. And then at the end, and I love how they were showing the reactions in the crowd, because that's how it is. Like when you watch something like that, it's like, oh, you know. And like,
it makes me wonder, did they do it for like one take? Like that was the first, not one take, but like a lot of the reactions are from the first take, and like the extras didn't see what was happening until that.
Oh yeah, probably. That would make sense.
I hate that I know the answer.
Well, no, give it to us.
Because there was, and if you really want to get into the backstory a little bit, there was actually a line, an actual like BET, while they were filming, did a like behind the scenes of House Party. And it was actually very cute. So the BET, the interviewer was walking all around the set. Play first walked her around a bit, and she was getting to know people, and they were looking at the actual sets where it's like we only see the inside of the house. They went outside of the set and showed like this isn't a real wall, that kind of thing. And then they had these bits where like Martin was going into play in kids' dressing rooms and like digging in their bags, he was like pulling up their wash rags, like, ugh, kid, he's to be so light skinned, it sure is a dirty rag, just being real inappropriate, just crass, and then we did get to see some of the dance rehearsal. And so again, it was so funny to see them doing that exact scene, but in not the costume.
Right.
But they were practicing in that clip in front of the extras.
Oh, okay.
So they had rehearsed it.
Okay.
They did a good job of acting.
They did a good job.
Because
even now, when you already know that scene is coming up, you're still like, hey. Like,
I was underwhelmed. I didn't have the same experience as y'all. I mean, I think that
from the dancing,
it was it too short? Maybe is that what happened?
No, I wouldn't want it. It shouldn't have been longer because it would have got to. It's fake, like
kind of.
It would.
We would have been off the 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. You see, they had to cut their dance scene off too.
They set it off.
I thought it was fun, but I certainly didn't have the experience y'all had. I'm like, whoa, the dance scene.
Okay, anybody said we did. We didn't do all that.
I did. But I think that is a nostalgia. I think that is a nostalgia thing. Like, I think that if I am connecting all of the emotions from the point in time. So if you did not see that and experience it when it was out, like in 1990 when this movie came out, that I don't think it would hit the same. I don't think it would hit me the same. Like if I wasn't, because to see that movie and then immediately I was in middle school, and you remember in Frick they used to do the 50 Cent dances?
Yeah.
Like, everybody was trying. It was just like a phenomenon where everybody was trying to do this kid and play dance, and nobody did it as good as him. But and the thing was, it wasn't no stunt doubles. They was doing that. Like when he dropped through, kids' legs, and like they could actually. They did that. I don't know. They did that.
Yeah, that's funny because in middle school it was the Aaliyah's dance from I can't think of the name of the song. I've been watching you like a hawk in the sky. One girl had memorized the whole dance in the movie video.
The one with Timberland at the end. They're all dancing in the room in black.
Well. Yes. Okay. And it's kind of like they're doing tango dances a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it makes me think of that, like being in the circle and watching this one person dance in the middle, that type of thing. Oh gosh.
Now that part I liked that because I do remember like, us all circling around like the ones who really could dance.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great
but now
time.
when you do these dance things, like I'll just go do a Zumba class and I'm like, my body the next day is like, what? Why did I do that?
I know. Even the morning
Why did I do that?
Even the morning after the freedom party, I'm like, well, I'm happy I was free yesterday. Exactly. I'm sitting down today.
I'm in bondage today.
I'm sitting down.
I need 2 Tylenol.
Well, y'all, what about the soundtrack?
Amazing. We're done. Next topic. It's awesome. Like, what else is there to discuss?
Read it off, G.
Care to share more?
No. Next topic.
Would you elaborate?
We all loved it. We danced. What?
Well,
saw what?
Okay, so I will tell you all. I'm going to read like some of these tracks, but I feel like there were things in the movie that are not on this track list, and I didn't write down carefully all of the songs that were playing. So the track list, though, included Why You Get Funky on Me by Gene Griffin, performed by Today, What a Feeling, Arts and Kravitz, Jive Time Sucker, Gene Griffin, House Party by Full Force, of course, because they were in the movie, This Is Love, performed by Kenny Vaughn, Can't Do Nothing For Ya, Man, by Flava Flav, Fun House, that one was in there, I remember, Fun House, Kid and Play, To the Break of Dawn, LL Cool J, and Marley Marl. I feel like I heard that one too. Kid versus Play by Kid and Play. I Ain't Going Out Like That, performed by Zan. Surely by Arts and Kravitz. Ain't My Type of Hype by Full Force. And then Always and Forever by Heatwave. I remember Heatwave, and I know there were a couple of Full Force songs playing. Why? Because James knew all the lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was like, oh, that's Full Force. And then he did the whole, I'm like, we're trying to watch this movie for the podcast. I need to pay attention, please.
Not listening to your rendition.
James is doing that's Full Force. And he's doing all the lyrics. So I don't know if it was these two songs. The Full Force was in the movie and their songs were on the track. You know?
I just know that I was going to and fro while I was watching the movie, and my head was going like this. I was like, okay.
Man.
Since you're like, it's not the specific songs, it was the feel of it overall. Okay.
I'm just saying
I appreciate that.
I'm just saying that party, it was going on at that party. And all the songs they picked for the dancing, which I believe you named them all. But like,
okay, so they did
But even the I'm just saying that movie made those songs, like even when I hear Heatwave now, even though I love laughing about how Bilal was, doing, but that is just a beautiful song,
It is.
Always and forever, each moment with you is just like a dream to me that somehow came true. I mean, like you can read the lyrics to that song. So I'm just saying, like when we talk about the romance and the excitement of the era, I just really feel like they caught it. That was a perfect song to play.
All right.
And now, the other thing I want to ask y'all is, so what about, like you said, Kid versus Play, but in the movie, it's a rap battle. So you can listen to it like a song, but in the movie, it's a rap battle. What do y'all, how did y'all feel about that scene?
Kid won.
I mean, that's obvious. I'm saying
in the movie, he won.
He won. I know. So
no, I'm talking about even in the way he was rapping. He sounded much better than Play to me.
Okay.
I think everybody like that's what they were trying to portray. I'm just saying it wasn't an exciting scene for you.
Oh, so Play doesn't really rap like that.
No, they both rap, but the way
I'm talking about the way
they gave Kid the best line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was made so that Kid was supposed to be better. Like that's how the scene was written. So, but I'm just saying, well,
here's what I want to tell you that scene made me think of. That scene, because the whole thing about Kid was his reputation was you're not great at rapping. Okay, because he kept saying he wanted to rap, and people were like, no. They were basically saying that's not your ministry.
He was carrying around a paper
and
with rap lyrics on it.
Don't be hating on his preparation.
I'm gonna just let you know.
That actually made me think of Aubrey. When we were little, Aubrey used to have his rap notebook. And so when I saw him writing his raps, I was like, Aubrey used to be writing all his raps.
But here's the thing though. You write them. You ain't supposed to be carrying it, but when you're about to rap,
you're supposed to carry it with your soul. I got it.
In the movie, in the context of the movie, he had to come up with it right then. And I'm just telling you, that is exactly how the battles go. It's just like you have guys who are known for rapping, and like nobody comes out with your best stuff first. Even if you're freestyler coming up with stuff on the top, you might think, oh, this dude got a whack hoodie on. I got that. I'm gonna put that in, but I don't want to use that yet. So like when he said, step to the stage too late, I blew it up. He probably already had that somewhere.
Yeah, that was in his pocket.
But it was like, where am I gonna put it?
Let's do a rap battle right now. Go, bro.
You don't want that. But
a boom, a ching, a boom, boom.
Can I tell you a story about me rapping at a party like that? I was in this basement party. It was just like that. So, and a lot of times there wouldn't be plans for people rapping, but like somebody might just grab the mic or whatever. And that's what was happening. So I got in line, I started freestyling on the mic, and the DJ was doing his thing. And it got to a point where I got brain freeze in the middle of the freestyle, okay? But what happened was he cut the music at the same moment my brain cut out. And it was silent, but then my brain caught the moment he let the music start again. And so everybody felt like I did it on purpose. What? So it was like,
oh no, we now have that recorded. No one can know
what that was supposed to do. Literally, I am one of one who remembers the story at all. There's nobody on planet Earth who remembers the story. I'm just saying, for me, it was just one of those moments where
that was so perfect.
It was, imagine the emotion of, this is terrible. So this is great. Like all in the same 2 seconds. But
that's a good story.
That is.
Those are the moments where it's like, yes.
Yeah, I'm just
the universe has my back.
I'm just letting you know the way that they constructed that battle was so great. Every verse was a little bit better. And then when they was really digging on each other, if you can stay out past your pop's curfew, you know what I mean? Like yo, and it's just, he's known, he's the good kid. You know what I mean? Like that's something somebody could have said to me. And you know what I mean? Like, and if you're known
friends.
But like, yo, when he was like, because kids feel backwards describes you best. You know, and stepped to the stage too late out. And he had too late, I blew it up. That was murder. And the beauty of it was at the end, you saw how it was all good. Like friends. Even after the dance battle, like after it, they all just started dancing together. You know what I'm saying? And like that was the fun of it. Just like, and they just grabbed that. This movie just really grabbed that. And I just, that battle scene is one of my favorite scenes in movies. Just period. Like I love that scene. I know how, and the way, like when they're rapping, if y'all, I know both of them said they will never watch the movie again, but if you watch if you ever, for whatever reason, are watching the battle scene, look at the people's eyes and how they're looking, because that's how people look at you when you're doing that. Because they're like, how's he doing that? And you're like, it's like this, it's like, that's dope, you know, like, and they caught that. Like it's in the like Tisha Campbell, like she's like, oh, I didn't know he can rap. And that's the other, just because rapping, everybody raps. You know, like that was another thing like that. So
and bro, can I just tell you, like everything you're talking about, it was again in that little clip, that BET on the behind the scenes clip, y'all, that was how the cast really related to each other. They were having so much fun on this set. They were clearly a bunch of friends. You know, they did, they had a couple of times where they talked with AJ and Tisha, and they were like, we're actually best friends in real life. So to be cast like this is so great. You know?
They still are.
Oh, I love that. And they were like, so to be cast like this is just a dream. And you just see the guys just playing with each other. And one of the shticks that they had going in the BET interview was at the top of the interview, Play said to the interviewer, he was like, you know what? By the end of your time on set, you need to have your own rap. We're inducting you into rapping. You need to be a rapper. And so throughout the whole little video, it's like, I think it's like 20 minutes or something. I don't know. But through the whole video, she's walking around and talking to huddles of kids. And I'm saying kids as if they weren't 45 years old. But she's talking to huddles of kids and she's saying to them, what rhymes with Hudlin? And they're like, button? You know, she's like, okay, that's good. That's good. You know? And then she'll walk over to another group of the kids just hanging out and having fun. And she'd be like, what rhymes with TV host?
Right.
And they're like, and then one of them, and actually, sis, it was the guy from BAPS who was the short
I saw him when he was an extra.
I gotta look up his name.
Him.
But his response to her when she was like, what rhymes with TV host? He was with a bunch of his friends and he was like, Casper, the ghost. And the friends were like, oh! And she was like, I don't think I can use that. And then one of the other ones was like, most? She's like, yes, thank you. And then she moved on. So anyway, they were just showing the culture on this set. And yeah, it just looked like a bunch of Black people having some fun.
You don't remember who the host was for the BET special?
I don't, but I should just pull it up right now. It was.
I'm definitely gonna watch that.
Yeah,
and I just want to go back to something we were talking about a second ago. Was this cannabis thing? And I pulled up a picture, just a picture, still shot. Janiyah, it's a legal pad.
Oh, it's not little. It's not a little pocket one.
It is a legal pad.
It is a whole. I mean,
it's like a lick your finger, put it over, hold it.
Oh,
and then
I feel so
in the video,
bad.
he's asking the crowd to let him rhyme his rhyme.
Oh no.
He's like, can I just?
Have y'all ever seen the movie The Notebook? Y'all, they put a picture of him in the clouds over top of this movie. I hate people so much.
Oh,
yeah.
That is terrible.
So rude.
That is terrible.
Yo, the internet is relentless.
Yo, but I want to feel bad for him, but
he knew better.
You do not. I mean, because if he would have did well there, he could have started like
he came back
because he was destroyed, but he held his own. You know what I mean? It's like if you watch somebody fight Mike Tyson, who's a brand new fighter, is like, okay. I mean, you would fight Tyson though, but like yes. You came, but you held your own. You know what I'm saying? So even though he clearly lost in his career, because L just
listen. Well, I think it's time for us to pick whether this movie wins or loses.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying.
I'm getting the hostess's name.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Okay.
He could have. He could have
all right.
come back. Is all I'm saying. If he would have, like, because people still respected him. But after that,
right, you can't come back from that, sir.
You cannot.
I am standing at stage 8 at Culver City Studios.
She doesn't even say. I'm watching the beginning of the clip.
Yeah, I know we can hear it.
Yeah, she doesn't say her name. She just
well, we can we'll figure it out. But,
anyway,
but put that in the chat or send it to us because I do want to watch that.
Yeah, and also I'll put it in the I'll put it in our comment in our link so people can find it.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But sis, you were taking us to the vote.
Yeah, all right, bro. Kick it off.
I will say this. This movie is a classic to me. It gets my high top 8. But I also get it. I don't think it's timeless though. I think that to really embrace this movie, it had to be introduced to you in the early 90s for you to really feel it. And I think it'll be a classic to all those people. But a lot of movies we talk about, like somebody can put them in. Like we've had movies where we talked about, it was like, yo, this is the first time I watched it, even though it came out. And it was good. I don't think I would have felt like if somebody's 25 right now watching this for the first time, I can see how they wouldn't like it.
Sure.
So I just want to give that caveat is that yes, this is a classic to me. But I don't feel like it's timeless, like every generation will watch it and get the same thing out of it.
Yeah, bro. Thank you for saying that. That saying, sometimes love just isn't enough. I agree with that because you can love a person, but if the logistics of your relationship can't work or the politics of your relationship can't work, the love is not enough to make it work. And I respect this movie. I respect it. Like the makers, the director, the producer, the Hudlin Brothers. I am now going to be intentional in being a fan of theirs because I appreciate what they're doing. I thought that it was, to me, it's always refreshing to see a slice of Black life that isn't playing into like the top 5 Black tropes. Give me some other trope, please. So I found that to be refreshing, that it was a lighthearted take. I also will say that I related to a lot of it, and I felt like as I was watching it, I know those people, and I will also just say, like, the fact that it was in like how long, like Hollywood, decades and decades without showing like accurate, like diversity in Black life, like, so I respect that this movie is groundbreaking. I do, but I'm going to tell y'all, in watching it, I was kind of bored. And I hated that because I expected to love it. Especially y'all think about the amount of like 90s, 80s content we've been taking in. And I had to at some point forgive myself because I was like, Genia, are you just tired? Or like, why aren't you like getting into this? And then I tried to make myself feel bad, like, well, Genia, maybe you just didn't go to house parties in high school and that's why you don't get it. But then I remembered that we just watched Fiddler on the Roof and I got that. So if something is written in a way that the story can draw you in, it's written so the story can draw you in. And I just thought, it's not my responsibility to meet this movie where it is. It should be drawing me in.
It's the truth.
It just wasn't. I honestly, I felt quite bored, and then I started to say, well, Genia, maybe you're just not into slapstick as much, because sometimes I do get a little tired when you're like even sometimes you'll just be watching an SNL skit and it's funny, but then all of a sudden somebody vomits and you're like, why did you do that? Because you're just trying too hard. So I do get exhausted sometimes with like, oh, something like the bully's chasing me. But I don't even think it was that. I just think this was a good story that is not timeless. That's all it is. I just don't think it can. I don't think it has the shelf life of pick it up anytime and a new audience could appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we've seen other 90s movies and 80s movies that could totally do that. 90s slice of life, pick it up in 2022 and you're like, that was good.
Still good. Yeah.
So, y'all, it's not a classic for me.
I think that's fair and well thought out.
You got to say it doesn't get your
thank you,
fade.
And bro, you didn't say.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay,
good.
I did.
Okay, good. Yeah, this movie does not get my high top fade.
Well, you guys, I will tell you the parts of this movie that did like bring me down and make me go, what? I was happy we had the discussions that we had on here because they made me feel better about those scenes. I had no intention on saying about them, but I was forced into that space of understanding and realizing why I was dropping the ball. So I'm okay with that.
We're all about growth here at the Wright Perspective.
Exactly right.
You just gotta get a little better every month. Playing jazz.
That's it, playing jazz. But even with that being said, I struggled because I understand what house party is to Black American culture and what it means, and that it's revered as one of those movies that are a staple, and it's in the cultural university of the planet of the universe, whatever you were talking about earlier at the top.
Whatever the title is, they should change it to what you just said.
That's it.
I was like, and so like thinking to myself, like, man, if a movie is about to have that type of definition, it needs to stick with me differently. And this movie just did not. Now, while it was so much fun watching people that I see now, like how AJ Johnson is a life coach and counselor, and she is like doing her own thing. She has a show, you know, she's been in several Black movies, like just to see her, even one notable that we talked about before, which was Baby Boy. Like AJ Johnson's career has continued. Tisha Campbell's career has continued. Martin Lawrence, like we can continue to name the individuals that are out of there, and even just understanding real life. The one friend that was with a friend that was getting drunk, the dark skin guy, I cannot think of his name right now, but he's now in a wheelchair. Like just thinking about how life is real for these individuals that are
Daryl Chill Mitchell.
Yes.
Is the one that's now in a wheelchair.
Yes. Thinking about these individuals, these are real people and their lives have continued. So that is where my struggle was. Is I was like, man, I appreciate who you all have been and continue to be in our culture.
Right.
And
I
so
agree.
It made it hard to be objective.
Yes. Because I'm like, I just appreciate y'all so much. But with that being said, even if I don't appreciate this piece of art that they did at this time, it does not negate all they have done. This is just one moment in time. I can appreciate the characters. I appreciated the story, even just the backgrounds of it. But I knew after I got done watching it that it was not going to be a classic for me. I was like, you know, if it comes on TV, it'll be cool background noise. There's this guy that's like a TikTok comedian that he talks about a lot of stuff that Black people do, and like we'll turn on TV in the background and then we'll be like looking at our phone. And I'm just like, I could see me doing that with this movie. Ain't nothing else on. Like I'm gonna turn it on and I'll look up for my favorite parts. It's on BT or Clio TV or Inspire, and I'm just turning it on, and then that's it. Like it's not me really looking into it to continue to enjoy it. So with all that being said, it did not get my high top fade.
Well, this is a surprising outcome. You know, House Party is not a classic from the Wright perspective.
They're gonna take all our Black cards.
But it is safe to say that we hold it as iconic and important for the Black community. And we think it is special, and we appreciate it for what it was. It just doesn't meet our criteria for a timeless classic from the Wright perspective. So we love you, House Party, but sometimes love is not enough. What you gonna do?
I'm proud of us. We might have let that one slide at one point.
Honestly, I was pressuring myself.
We only did that once, but I'm proud of us.
One time we did it on principle. We hated that. That's right. We regretted when we did it on principle.
I don't regret it. It was learning. You know, but yes.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bro, sis, this was a fun one.
Yeah, it was fun. Love you guys.
Love y'all. Bye.
Y'all. Have a good night.